Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind as the Rangers won, Celtic won at Ibrox. It finishes in a draw, something that Sean Conley, who joins me here, Liam Carrigan will be joining me as well, but something Sean had said he would take before the game. Certainly for me seems to be a good representation of the way the game went. Very unlucky not to win it at the end there. But there are a couple of points that I really want to make, Sean, before I bring you in. And these are important because we are a club that was built on charitable foundations, so it's always important that we do, we do make others feel good about themselves when we can, and I think this is important. And I really want to call out and give credit, and I know this won't be popular, but bear with me, guys. Bear with me. That was not intentional, but bear with me. I do want to give Rangers a bit of credit today for a few reasons, and I'll outline them. I mean, one, they absolutely played like a team with nothing to lose today, which is very easy when you've already lost everything this season. So I think that's very, very important to
therefore nothing to lose.
Exactly. You take advantage of what you can. And listen, we have to give the fan base credit. Sean, I've never known the Rangers fans to be known for their humanitarian efforts, but obviously they were worried about our players dehydrating because they were throwing a lot of beverages the way of our players, which I think is to be applauded. Well done. That's nice. I saw Sinisalo who drinks cans, and even a wee alcoholic beverage was thrown on there, which we have to
celebratory one.
Celebratory one as well. Yeah, I'll bring Liam in as we're doing that. So I do want to talk about how the Rangers fans are really trying to help our players. That's great. That's the spirit of sportsmanship. I love that when they're there you go, son, have a wee drink, because you're obviously feeling the heat there. So that was nice. That was nice. Got to give credit to the players as well. Even when they were not on the park, they were concerned about the safety of the fans because they were clearly checking the structural integrity of the stadium on quite a few occasions. So I saw Cherny, he's just checking, is that solid? Hadji is a badge above the tunnel, so give them a bit of credit for that. And listen, lastly, I mean, their creativity and their artwork, Liam, is impressive. And especially on today of all days, May the 4th, Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you. And they've got that dedicated tifo referencing Star Wars, take aim against the rebel scum. I mean, okay, like they're supporting the baddies in Star Wars.
I was going to say, was that not the guy who said that end up getting shot about 2 minutes later, if I remember the film correctly?
It did. But listen, we're bloody effort. Look, listen, guys, game's over. It's one each. This is just a little bit of shameless banter at the Rangers fans' expense, and I can assure you it won't be the last. But
my blog will see to that.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that one. Look, let's be serious then for a minute. Let's be serious for a minute. We'll talk about the football, but there's a couple of serious points we do want to address, which we touched on in a more humorous fashion there. But one each. Sean, you said before the game that you'd have taken that beforehand. I felt the performance probably merited that. What did you think? What did you make of the game overall?
We were obviously under strength coming into the game. A few players out, and Kuhn, Jota, Johnston. So, and you could argue we're still down a striker with having not replaced Kyogo, and Schmeichel still out. So there's an argument that we're 5 players down there. So looking at the starting lineup, my feeling was, okay, this in a way, regardless of what you think about them, it's an away game against the second best team in the league, us being the first best team in the league, champions. You have to
double champions and almost triple champions.
It's literally the hardest game we're going to play in the league this year. Literally, like there's and on paper at least, right? Away to the next best team is the hardest game you're going to get. So it was, they came out as we expected in the first 10 minutes. They had a couple of good chances, one header just over the bar, and then we got a grip of the game for the next half hour. And in the first half, we create a couple of half chances, and Adam Ida gets put through in goal, should score 1-on-1, and they go up the other end and score to make it 1-0. And then second half, they drop back a bit, given that they're 1-0 up, and we kind of have we have good control of the game at that point again, and we do manage to one thing we said at halftime was Maeda wasn't very involved in the first half, and when he does get involved there, it was a bit of a. It wasn't like flowing football; it was about a chaos move, but it does lead to Adam Idah scoring. The linesman is desperate for it not to be a goal. He doesn't want it to be a goal. He's like, nope,
can wait. Yeah,
my Bears can't be conceding a goal here. Daizen Maeda is standing too close to the line, too close to the keeper. It's not a goal, despite the fact that your man scored from 18 yards away, whatever. And to be honest, in the last kind of 15, 20 minutes, like they were kind of pressing a bit more than us. They had a bit more control of it. But to be fair, there was the only booking for an outfield player in the game, I think, was Johnny Kenny. Maybe, I don't know. Was there another one? Did Bailey Rice get booked? I can't remember. So it's just a couple of Barry Ferguson I know got booked. So there was no bookings at all for the first 80 minutes, and I think that kind of reflects the fact that even though both teams did look like they wanted to win it, there was less intensity in the sense that there wasn't any trophies on the line, given that any trophies available were already won by the champions. So that kind of dropped the intensity in that sense. I'm happy in a sense that the last two games, I was not happy with how we played, not happy with how we responded to moments, not happy with how we controlled things. And even though we didn't do enough to win the game today, I think 1-1 is fair. It was good in the sense that we have arrested what looked like a kind of free fall from the last two games. So yeah, there's a leveling up there. And they'll probably come away thinking, oh yeah, we've got the beating of this team, and they'll go into next year thinking that they've got our number. They're just two signings away from challenging us, or just a new manager, whatever, right?
Are you saying that the Rangers are coming? Is that what you're saying? The Rangers are
that is the idiom that we use now, isn't it? It's just common parlance now. But yeah, and I think that's the thing that will come out of today is we feel that, okay, we've managed to kind of calm this down a bit. We were under strength. We've not got whopped like we did in the last two games, in the first half especially. And they're going to go away feeling, yeah. We've got this 3 games. Yeah. They can't beat us. They'll say whatever, and let them have that false confidence. Let them sign whatever pudding from AC Milan reserves and whatever English Championship player, and think that means they are now the better team. It doesn't matter. We were talking on the pitch, and fair enough, we didn't have enough to win today, but in what is one of the 2 hardest games of the season, we did well enough, and won each is a fair result.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I echo that. And I've noticed that we do have some guest appearances from our Bros in Blue on the comments. Well, we did have. I've now banned them, but in case they're still watching, which they're more than entitled to do. Bye-bye. But
thank you for your engagement and the revenue it generates.
Indeed, absolutely. Yes, we should acknowledge it. Like I said, I'm applauding the humanitarian efforts today. It's been excellent. They've really taken one for the team. Liam, just can you get your thoughts on the game, mate? I think look, we wouldn't dress up the performance, right? And the performances against Rangers this season, they've not been to the level we've expected. You can put that down to Rangers. To be fair, raising their game, probably the only game that they raise it for. I mean, I think Sean referenced that the pre-match that they've basically turned into, what they accuse Aberdeen of only trying against them. Well, it looks as though they only try against us, which, as we can see by looking at the league table, doesn't really amount to much when it comes to trophies at the end of the season. But there are signs that we need to up our game or find a way to address how they play against us, because there were times today when they did have us under pressure, and I think it's important that we do acknowledge that. But at the same time, we showed elements today why we are still very much the champions. A bit of class for Mida to score the goal, getting Maeda more involved. I think we showed good attitude in the second half. Definitely not to the level that we want to be at consistently. But look, as Sean said, the season's over. This was all they had to play for. I think Chris Clinton referenced that. I believe they've already got the moral trophy, so I'm not sure what this one equates to. But yeah, it's in the grand scheme of things, we're still 17 points clear. No harm, no foul, is there?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sorry, but teams that throw bucky bottles and have tifos like that don't have a moral anything as far as I'm concerned. But first of all, Adam Ida, take a bow, son. Good goal, well done. He needed to do something in that second half, and he did. And I am the first thing I said to you after the goal. I said, I'm so pleased for Big Ida.
Yes, you did. Yes,
really, so glad that happened, because it means that whatever the result, that chance in the first half is forgotten about, because he got his goal. I thought Yang was quite good when he came on. It wasn't necessarily coming off for him, but he was getting involved. He was making runs. He was asking questions of their defence. He changed it up a bit, and it was good to see.
It's been referenced in the comments. Actually, the subs brought an extra layer of dynamism to the team. I think that was evident. Yeah.
Aye, and I think as well that, look, at the end of the day, it's, as Sean said, it's a draw away to supposedly the second best team in the league. That's a good result.
Objectively. Objectively.
All right. Okay. So objectively, they are the second best team in the league. Okay. But there is no trophy for that, just so we're clear, right? I don't want to shortchange anybody here.
Well, there's usually not a trophy, but they usually still come up with one. It's just like I wouldn't hedge your bets on that. No, absolutely. Now, I do. We will talk more about the performance, but there was a point that's being made up. I'm going to bring it up actually on screen, and it is quite a serious point. It's serious in light of a lot of what we've been speaking about earlier on this season. So let me see if I can bring this up. Bear with me for 1 second. But there was a tifo that was shown at the start of the match, and when we have had so much coverage about speech, about incidents which reflect badly on the game, on teams, we talk about bigotry, we talk about hatred, etc. Can someone explain to me whether they think this will get the same amount of coverage? Now, for anyone that can't see that, I'll just read what it says at the bottom verbatim, because this is what is up. It says, "Take aim against the rebel scum." Now, despite what we were joking about earlier, I'm not talking about the rebels in Star Wars. That is directed very firmly at our fans and what our fan base represents. Now, the image itself doesn't just depict someone with a firearm. Anybody that's got the ability to Google or do any sort of informed research can tell that is a representation of Michael Stone, who is a confirmed loyalist murderer. So what I would like to, and I won't denigrate the channel any longer by having that up on screen, because it's foul. Now, Sean, surely there's a responsibility to highlight that. We're doing it on our platform, but mainstream media and the authorities have to take a look at that and say, no, that is absolutely unacceptable. And that's before we've got to the point where we start talking about glass bottles, among other objects, being thrown at our players. And this is not a first-time offence. This is something that happens consistently at this stadium during this fixture, right? Now, before anyone jumps on it and says, because I'm sure we'll get the whataboutery and somebody will say, yeah, but when Rangers players go to Celtic, there are objects coming on. I'm not condoning that either, right? Objects getting thrown at players are absolutely wrong, right? But that banner right at the start, if that's not an inflammatory indication of absolutely unjustified and irrational hatred, I don't know what is.
It's egregious, Chris. It's egregious, and it's very topical in the sense that in the last 2 weeks, I guess, I've had a very surreal and eye-opening redefinition of the boundary between free speech and incendiary hate speech.
Yes.
And now I have a very new, different definition of this and a new mindset to this, which is what would happen if Kneecap did it? So now whenever I see something, I think to myself, what would happen if Kneecap did it? And my response now is, well, this one deserves a parliamentary investigation and a counter-terrorism investigation, because for far less, that's what Kneecap got. So I assume the counter-terrorism police will be at Ibrox this week, and I assume that the Parliament in England and in the various devolved parliaments will also be getting involved in raising bills for investigation and removal of Sevco from leagues and competitions like Kneecap suffered. That is my assumption based on the recent redefinition of incendiary hate speech.
Yeah. And last time I checked, Kneecap haven't actually been arrested for any crimes to this point, unlike the individual depicted on that particular tifo. Liam, it's something that has to be called out, right? Because it's not a good look. It's not a good look for Scottish football. It's not a good look for that club. Not that I really particularly care, but it's a disgraceful display and something that should have been shut down almost immediately. But that got mainstream television coverage, as the pictures indicate. And there's multiple angles of it. It's not something that was up and down in a matter of minutes. It was there, and it was directed very much at our fans. Now, our fans have already raised concerns about their safety at this venue during this fixture. The trepidation about returning to Ibrox because of prior attacks on fans, prior attacks on players, attacks on staff. It's nonsense, and it was further exacerbated by the objects being thrown at Sinisalo in particular, amongst others, and it continually gets glossed over. It fades away. It's brushed under the carpet, obfuscated. You can name it. It can't be. It has to be called out.
Thing is, right, when have now the Green Brigade, whatever, they've had multiple banners down the years that have been slagging off, making mockery of Rangers, right? I don't recall us ever having a banner that directly had us pointing weapons at them.
Yeah.
Did we? I don't think we've ever done that.
There was the hanging effigy, and not in the Green Brigade end, but the other end.
Right.
But that was the only one that I can think of that was particularly in poor taste.
Yeah, but it definitely wasn't an entire stand doing it, though, was it? And it wasn't something that would have to have been
a couple of individuals. Yeah.
Aye. And the thing is, as well, if that is that's a stand wide tifo, Rangers must have seen that in advance and approved it. There is no way that could have been set up on the fly. It's not like that end wokeness banner or whatever that they had a few weeks ago, right? That was the Union Bears. Maybe 4 or 5 of them smuggled that in, right? You could make that case. I don't know if that was a case or not, but that was a small enough banner you could say that. But when it's 2 stands, two tiers of a stand with a depiction of, and I don't care if it's Michael Stone or if it's Graham Souness, as some people are claiming. It doesn't matter. It's still somebody pointing a gun at the Celtic fans, and it's a direct threat of violence. It's not on. It's just not on.
No, absolutely not.
Wait, why is it pointing a gun at the Celtic fans? We're not scum and we're not rebellious. We're the establishment now. We're the best team in Scotland. We're not the rebels. We have won. We are the establishment now. I don't know what do we think it's aimed at Celtic fans?
Oh. Sean, I almost want you to pick up the mic and just drop it at that point, because the rebels have one. The rebels have one. And yeah, look, from a football context, we absolutely have, right? I mean, this is another year of dominance. We take nothing for granted, and we won't disrespect our opponents in the cup final to say that it's a guaranteed treble yet, but we are certainly well placed to have it. Look, let's keep that point, Liam. I'm sure you'll want to cover that in one, if not more, of the upcoming blogs, which are in an absolute storm at the moment. So good job on those. And I'm sure Paul John and the rest of the Acsom guys will want to speak about this during the week. What we'd like to do in the limited time now is just talk a little bit more about the football. Look, it was a one-each draw. I think we did well to battle back in that. I don't think we necessarily performed the way we would hope we did, which is fair enough. But I want to talk about a couple of the individual players that come in. So, Sean, you spoke about it a little bit already. Aramida, was under pressure. He was under pressure before the match. He was under pressure at half-time. But that's the kind of response you want. There were a lot of things he did well throughout the game in terms of how he supported the play. There were some things that really didn't come off well, which is been the case for Ida this season. So it's not a case of being full of praise because he scored a goal. There are certainly areas that cause frustration, but ultimately what you want your striker to do is put the ball on the back of the net, and I mean he really did that, and he did it with aplomb despite the best efforts of the linesman to get that one ruled out.
Yeah, it was a great finish. It was great perseverance from Maeda in the build-up. It was weird in the sense that usually VAR intervention is to chop the goal off, and it was very, very unusual to see it the other way around because of the barrier for clear and obvious. It needs to be very clear and obvious that an error it should on paper need to be very clear and obvious that an error has been made for a decision to be overruled. So the fact that it was so clear and obvious from the behind the goal that Dyson Maeda is a metre wide of the post and absolutely no way interfering with the goalkeeper's line of sight. So I was celebrating when it went in, and then to have it immediately chopped off was a bit of a throwback, I guess, to the good old days when linesmen would do whatever they could to chop off a Celtic goal against the Glasgow opponents. And to have VAR actually worked in our favour today, you know. The Nico Raskin one wasn't chopped off. That same linesman didn't see Nico Raskin offside, but he saw Dyson Maeda mystifyingly offside. I didn't catch who the assistant referee was, but anyway. Should I find out his surname and ask what school he went to? I feel like that's the standard, isn't it?
No, we're far more professional than that, Sean. Come on.
Was it Frank Connor? I bet it was Frank Connor. Yeah. The only assistant referee I know, thanks to whatever. But yeah, no, it was a great finish. Actually, it really was. It was a totally scrappy build up, but the turn and finish was really, really high quality, and it was a good goal. We had a couple of half. It was really, that was actually not even the best chance he'd have had by far. He had 3 better chances, I thought. Two really obviously better chances, and one that was just slightly better. And we almost snatched it at the death there, because they were doing it. They were chasing it. They were chucking on a striker at the end and chasing it. We almost got it in the counter attack at the end. They counter break with Dyson Maeda, and that would have been a really fine story if Dyson Maeda just managed to put that one in or square it or whatever at the end, and then ran off and grabbed a water bottle and sprayed some fans all on the front row. It would have been a great finish to the game.
Excuse me, sorry to interrupt. Breaking news here. I've just got the alert. Rangers have set a new world record. It's the first time either incarnation of a team have gone 7 games without winning at home. Hats off to them. What can you say?
Well,
sheer class.
They'll be getting the trophy molded at present, because they've got plenty of material to do so. Or do they? Was steel or metal not an issue for them at one point? No, who knows? But I think look, it's, if anyone is watching who's not of a green and white persuasion, it's just banter. And because it's at your expense, well, it is what it is.
Yes. And if you are watching, go away. Your sister's waiting for you. Sorry, that's going to get me banned, isn't it?
Well, not by me. I can ban anyone. No, not at all. Liam, back to the football for a moment. As much fun as I'm having with this. I think there are definitely frustrations. I can see that amongst the comments, and I will bring the comments up shortly. There are frustrations among the comments that we've not been able to show our domestic dominance across the course of the season and these fixtures. Today, I think we can point to maybe certain personnel being out. Jota has come in, made a big impact. Kun, for large parts of the season, was one of the best players. I appreciate his level's dropped off a little bit recently, but he would have been a loss today as well. We've talked for the best part of the season about needing to bring in even more quality onto the bench. And I think, again, that was evident today when you're bringing on Yang, you're bringing on Kenny. Yang's trajectory, I think, is moving in the right direction. Kenny's not really had a chance to assert himself yet, but they're not players who you're looking to say they're going to come on necessarily and win the game, because they haven't been able to do that up to this point. So looking towards the new season, obviously get the cup final out of the way, hopefully with another trophy, but looking towards the next season, where do you see the key areas we need to strengthen, and do we need to take a different approach when we're coming up against whatever iteration of Rangers we'll face next year? Sorry, Liam, that one's to you.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, when Liam paused there, I was like, wait, was I not paying attention? I thought it was a Liam.
Results like today and the last couple of derbies are a warning shot. They're a warning to say, look, we are the best team in Scotland by some distance. And to make sure that stays the case, things need to be changed up. Things have to be freshened up. Reinforcements have to be brought in the right areas. I think that the fact that Jota, we don't know how many months he's going to be out for.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to strengthen in that position. We need more creativity generally. I think the only really creative player we had in the first half anyway was Hatate, and it wasn't really coming off for him today.
No.
Yang, I thought, brought some creativity when he came on, but again, he was also a bit of a headless chicken at times. And, there are clear areas we need to improve on. But you know what? It's good to get games like this where... I mean, how good is it? Think about the we're all old enough to remember when Celtic were not winning everything in sight.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
We are all genuinely annoyed, and some of us are possibly even angry about drawing away at Rangers. That's how far we've come. That is how high the standards are now, that we are pissed off at only getting a draw away to Rangers.
Yes.
That's a good place to be in.
It absolutely is. And, I would say that's the only tedious thing this season is that we've had to take a draw. Nothing else of the season has been tedious, despite media's best assertions. I'm going to bring in some comments now. So, massive supporter of the channel, as always, a real regular. We've got you and Boy Martin coming in to say Glasgow's green and white, and so is Dunoon bouncing in the sun this beautiful Sunday. I hope you're having a great time, mate, and it is an absolutely lovely location there. And he comes back in again, really thank you for your support of the channel, and it's Glasgow Celtic 55, Sevco 1.
John Higgins classic. Did you see that during the week?
I did.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. Very nice to see. Let's bring in some of the other comments. So Paul Leinster comes in here. With Jota out, we obviously need another winger. I think that's fair because now we can't really have Jota in our immediate plans for next season, certainly for the Champions League campaign that is coming up. So I think it is very, very important that we do cover off that loss. Gary Gordon comes in. Oops, that's not Gary Gordon, actually. Sorry. Gary Gordon is here. One word, champions. I really like that. The comment that I did bring up accidentally, I just want to check it, make sure there's no sweary words. No, I think you're okay. Let's see. Jim G comes in. That's a terrible excuse. Look how far we've come. This Rangers team can't buy a win at home and even lose to Queen's Park. We should be turning them over home and away. I think it's a fair comment, Jim. I think on paper we should be turning them over if you look at the form throughout the season. What I would say is I don't want to take a knee-jerk reaction to today's result. Look, it was, the title is over the line. It's been a long, hard season if you take into account the European travails as well. And there are, many players missing. So I'm not going to take too much of a knee-jerk, but I think you're right. The tolerance for not being able to assert our dominance over our rivals will start to show if that continues. So we do need to, I think, and I'm sure Brendan Rodgers will feel that as well. I think we do need to try and improve our record there. Let's see what we've got. Gerard Fitzpatrick comes back and say, get Trusty back in. I do want to touch on this one because there were some comments at halftime in particular, guys, and there were some comments in the full time as well around Liam Scales' performance. Now, Liam Scales has worked his way back in to be the partner for Carter Vickers for these games. I think there were definitely some shaky moments today where he was caught out. He seemed to lose his footing quite a bit as well. But he also made some quite key challenges today. Some of them looked very last ditch. I would say that they looked very last ditch. But Sean, what was your overall view on Liam Scales' performance today?
I thought he was having a good game until Dessers scored. And his passing and link-up play was good throughout, but he's liable. He's liable at that first goal. To be fair, I don't think he did anything else wrong, but on these kind of occasions, a derby game is just like a European game. All it takes is one mistake, and that's what he did. So, and to be fair, there's been occasions where trustees had the same criticism put at him in this year as well. So, I think we just need to accept that, we're not Real Madrid. This is the level of player we attract is the kind that makes mistakes like that. And to be fair, from where, if you think about Scales, at one point was nowhere near the Celtic team, out on loan in Aberdeen. I think someone got injured, and that was the only reason he didn't sign for Aberdeen permanently at the end of his loan, because I literally can't remember who it was that got injured. And since then, he's forged a multi-season, multi-award-winning, multi-treble-winning career as a Celtic player with 2 Champions League Man of the Match awards, and that is Like, that's ridiculous. Like, when he was about to sign for Aberdeen permanently, if you told me that, I would have just went, yeah, okay, I'll have some of that crack as well, thanks. But yeah, he's really, yeah, he was liable for the first goal, but let's bigger picture. He's been a great servant, so I don't want to give him too hard a time, because one moment does not define a season.
It does not. Just one comment to bring in here. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Now I'm going to try and pronounce this. I think this is a Scandinavian name, so I'm going to go Rumer. I think maybe
it's Kev is here. That looks like Hungarian to me.
But it says a Swiss citizen, so I've got that completely wrong now. Read the comment, so I apologise if I've totally butchered that pronunciation, but I do appreciate your support. The comment though is a very good one. It says the tifo is incredible, and I don't think that's incredible in a good way. I'm not Scottish, British, Irish, but even as a Swiss citizen, I'm offended. If this goes ignored and unpunished, I despair at the British media, police, and politicians. I don't think you'll find too many people disagreeing with you on here. Gary Gordon comes in. Chris, grow the hair back. Well, you know, hopefully. You got me worried there now with that comment. And MT Celts Big Rab B says Jota being out means we need to see him sign a striker. Maeda had a brilliant season, but it is just one season, and the miss at the end shows he's not the answer long term. I think a wee bit harsh, maybe Big Rab B. I think, you know, when you look at the numbers he's put up, playing both in the wing and up front, I think he's more than capable even the line. But what I would say, Liam, is that we need at least one more top striker. If Kenny isn't going to get more meaningful appearances between now and the end of the season, and I don't think Kenny did too much wrong when he came on today. I thought his energy level was good, but his lack of appearances would indicate that he's maybe not the backup to Maeda and Ida, assuming both players stay next season. So we need someone else in there, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's jury's still out on Ida, but I believe he's getting better. You know, today shows that. Dyson will do what he does, but there's going to be times where we have to play him as a winger, like today, and we need to have at least another striker on the bench as an option. Kenny might be that, he might not be, we don't know, but we need top class potential there to come in. So yeah, a striker, at least one winger, maybe two, because we don't know about the future of all of the current squad. And we need to, you know, Kieran Tierney's coming back, but we do need another left back. Whether that's Greg Taylor or whether it's somebody else, I don't know. It's not going to be Schlupp, I don't think, based on the way things are going.
Yeah.
I would be fine if it was Greg Taylor, but if not, we need someone of similar quality.
Absolutely. Nope, I think that makes sense. Guys, that has been a very, very quick half an hour. As I say, I think it's not a result we need to knee-jerk react on, but I think it is, you know, we do want questions answered for next year's European campaign in particular as we head there. But listen, thank you very much for joining us.
Can you indulge me for 30 seconds? Sorry. Obviously, I'm in Australia. I just want to send a quick message out to my cousin Kirsty and her husband Ryan Pierce, who got married this weekend. Just congratulations, guys. I'm sorry I can't be there. Ryan and his family all listen to this Celtic State of Mind, so I know they'll get this message. So congratulations. I'm sorry I'm not there.
No, fantastic. Absolutely. And everyone at Acsom wishes them all the best as well. So, yeah, pass on our best wishes. Gentlemen, I know it's probably very unsociable hours for both of you guys, so I will say a massive thank you for joining me on the coverage. It's always can be a tough shift on some of these games, but today I think it's been pretty good, and we've had a little bit of fun despite some of the serious topics as well. All that's left for me to say is, Sean, thank you very much indeed. Liam, pleasure as always, and for everyone that's joined us, we're over 1,700 live on the streams. Really appreciate your support and all your comments, and we will rejoin you tomorrow on Monday as always, when Paul John will be back in the hot seat. Thank you very much again. Have a great weekend, and hail.
Hail.
Hail.